tell me about Sarah Shapiro. Hi, Mom.
Sarah Shapiro was born in 1865 in Poland. She was the third wife of Joseph Aaron Shapiro, my great-grandfather. Because his first two wives died in childbirth.
Did those kids live?
But he had two daughters from the two marriages. And so he needed someone to take care of his children. And my great-grandmother was very poor. Her father was had a saloon.
Huh.
And so she didn't have a dowry. So her prospects were very limited. So she married a man who was 8 or 9 years older, had two children, and she had to take care of them. And she went on to have 7 children. And my grandfather Harry was the firstborn.
And her mother was Mayashe.
Sarah's mother was Mayashi.
And you never met her. You met her?
How could I meet her? She died in childbirth.
But you didn't tell that part of the story just yet, huh?
What did I miss just now?
Why Uncle Joel never met his great-grandmother Mayashi.
That's great. She's my great-great-grandmother.
His great-great-grandmother Mayashi, who birthed Sarah. And it's because she died in childbirth after having Sarah. All right, continue.
So her first daughter was named Mayashi, Sarah's daughter.
Oh.
But she died as a baby. And then the third child was named Yankel, like Jacob. And he died.
Oh.
So her fourth child was Sadie, my great aunt Sadie. And then she repeated the name, my Uncle Jack. He got the same name, Yankel. And then later on, when Minnie was born, the youngest child, she got the name Mayashi.
And who's her child that's your grandfather?
My grandfather is Harry Herschel. He was the first child.
He was Harry, the first child. Okay, got it.
So, when my grandfather was, I think, like 6 or 7, Joseph left Poland to come to America. And he had an uncle named Nahum in New York who set him up with a cart. What did they call it?
A street cart?
A street cart. Well, he sold clothing from the cart.
Wow.
They used the push cart. It was called a push cart.
In New York City?
No. He sent him to Connecticut, to Portland, Connecticut. They had enough push carts in New York. So he left Sarah and the little children and the 2 other daughters behind. But 2 years later, he went back and he impregnated Sarah, and she had Herman. And then he went back to America and Portland, did the same thing. Then he brought his oldest, at that time I think in 97, he brought his oldest daughter, Ida.
1897.
Yeah. He brought his oldest daughter to America. She was like 17 or 16. And then she got married in 1900. She married a Romanian. And my grandfather helped him set up a shoe store in Middletown. And then he went back.
Not Shapiro's.
No. Then he went back the second or third time, and he brought Rose, his second daughter, to America. So she probably came around 1898. She was probably like 15. Because, children they grew up old faster then. They had responsibilities.
Yeah.
And so then my grandfather didn't come until 1900.
How old was he
Wait a
when he
minute.
came?
I'm sorry, 1901. He was 12 and a half.
Mm.
So there's a picture I have the picture of my great-grandmother taken in Europe just before they came.
So your mom was the first generation.
In what sense? I mean,
Born
the
in
first
America.
generation, yes. But it's tricky because only 4 children were born in Poland. And then when my great-grandma came here in 1901, she had 3 more. So they're first generation.
Right.
See, but my grandfather is not.
Right.
So they're split.
Mm.
So I think my mother used to consider herself second generation. And
Huh.
we're third generation.
Yeah, I think they changed the definition then. Second generation.
I think because, my grandfather was only 12 when he came here.
So he was more American then.
So he was, he went to school here and all that. And the fact that he had 3 younger siblings, Morris, Philip, and Minnie, who were born in America.
Yeah.
So they're first generation.
Huh. But you remember Grandma saying she's second generation.
I think so, yeah, because I've always considered myself third generation, not second generation.
Okay. And JJ, he went from push cart to...
Oh, so my Joseph Aaron, he had the push cart, and then
Wait, who's JJ? That was his dad?
JJ is Flashman.
Flashman, right.
He's JA if you want initials. They're
Yeah.
my initials.
Yeah,
He was Joseph Aaron, and I'm Joel Aaron.
right.
Everybody in the family is named after him. I mean,
Okay.
every branch.
Uh-huh.
There's a JA.
For the men.
Women, Jean Ann, Joanne, and Judy Ann.
What happened to her?
What happened to whom?
She was Helen Judith. My mom.
But she's not named after him. I'm named after
I know, but so one kid in the family needed to be named. Okay.
She's named on my father's side.
Oh, okay.
So there.
So they are. But there were, Jane Ann was named after him, Joanne, and Judy Ann Shapiro.
Okay.
And we had Jerome Aaron and Jay Shapiro. I think you met Jay's brother, Burton Lewis.
Yeah.
Well, Burton had a brother, I think he's still living, named Jay.
Yeah.
And he's J.A. Shapiro, but of course he became Lewis.
Okay. Right. Yes. Oh, but you were saying so. JJ
is Flashman.
JA had
Shapiro.
he wound up setting up. What happened to his
Also,
push
when
cart?
my grandfather Harry was like 14 or 15, then they opened a store. And he called it J.A. Shapiro and Son. So my grandfather went to work, at 15 or 16, maybe even younger. And they had a store on Main Street. It was men's, and they had ladies too, and children.
How long did the store exist for?
Well, around World War II, they changed it to Shapiro and Company.
And then
How long what?
how long did the store? Yeah.
Into the 1980s. And they bought a building that had belonged to the biggest department store, was called Bunce's. And my uncle bought it and set up Shapiro's in there, but it was so large you could sublet it to other types of
Yeah.
shoot, whatever, I don't remember. Leather goods was there and stuff like that. A lot of women's, because the Shapiro's by that time didn't sell any women's clothes.
Oh.
It was just men's and children.
Okay.